Is our next show ready? Do we see them? No? Yes? I don't know. Training Dummies is up next. Do we have the Training Dummies in the room? It's possible? All right, there we go. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium, table, chairs, the Training Dummies. Have a seat, gentlemen. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, is that working? Nice.
You ready? You ready? Thanks for coming, guys. I know that. Well, there goes Andy. All right, Andy. I don't have any green text to go off of tonight, so excuse me. I have no idea what I'm supposed to say. But we are so stoked, incredibly stoked to be here. This is my first BlizzCon, and it may be my last because I can't stand some of you. So we'll see how that goes. No, that's not true. We've invited Monkioh from Midwinter to join us tonight. We want to talk a little bit about rating and going into Legion and kind of what to expect. And I'm super excited, despite the Blizzard Watch announcement that they just made that September is going to be the release date for Legion. I don't know about that, but I know it's crazy, right? All right, so if you guys don't know Daryl, this is Daryl. He mains a Resto Warlock. A Resto Warlock. And Monkioh, what are you maining right now?
Still playing my Mistweaver Monk. Just kind of taking it easy. Until the next expansion.
Best class NA.
Of course,
And of course, I'm still on my Brewmaster Monk and Bro Tank Hype. That's right. Ignore the peanut gallery. Monkioh, thanks for joining us. It's awesome that you're here because really I don't know what we'd say without you. But you're excited about rating going into Legion, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's we kind of in a lull at the moment. It's going to be quite a lull, it seems like. And it's always fun to see new content. Progression's always the most fun part of rating. You get to develop your strats for new bosses or figure out, how different guilds are doing the different strats. And it was particularly interesting this tier when we look at things like add-on creation and how many fights required certain add-ons, to do properly.
Are you looking at doing anything different going into Legion? Are you guys still recruiting, or are you?
Yeah, Midwinter's still recruiting. NA good healers would be nice. But always recruiting exceptional applicants, of course. Me, I might be taking it a little bit easier at the start. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. It's all kind of by the seat of my pants at this point.
Right on. What do you expect the content to be like in Legion? For challenging or a little easier? What do you think it's going to be like?
Right. So at the mythic level, which is what's my experiences, it seems like the fights have gotten more and more challenging. Like you look at fights like Manaroth and Archimon, they were really, really hard fights, and that's so evident when you look at guilds like Method and Paragon, who consistently down bosses in the first week of progression or second week of progression. It took them so many weeks to do it. It was crazy. Nobody could believe it, and it was all the more impressive once they actually did kill it. So yeah, I see much more challenging fights in the future. Hopefully they get a bit of a more of a smooth curve from beginning to end in all aspects of rating, whether it's challenging fight, DPS checks, tank damage, all that kind of stuff. It all adds up. So challenging. That's what.
Are you expecting? You mentioned personal responsibility. Are you expecting that to be more of a presence in Legion, or?
Right, so I see raid mechanics kind of broken down into two different sections. One where you have kind of fully raid-on mechanics like DPS checks. All your DPS have to pull together and do really well. Healing checks. I don't know if there's ever been like a tank check. Maybe like Zoharok this tier might have been a good tank check. But overall, I see things like personal responsibility. Look at fights like Iskar, throwing the orb. That was such a tragedy for some people. And, add-on was developed for that, the Iskar assist. And same thing if you look at Thogar was kind of the same thing. They had a Thogar assist. And Archimon, they saw guilds coming out with their own add-ons to track, the beams for Wrought Chaos or it was just crazy. And I hope to see more of those mechanics, but in such a way that we don't need to have add-ons to basically play the game for us, because that's not very interesting, from a player point of view. I'd rather see it more of, say, these players are skilled because these players are skilled, not because, they had a dude in their raid who could make add-ons.
I had a world-class raider once tell me that because I was using GTFO, that I just needed to get good. And I'm still using it. It's still one of my favorite add-ons. It's great. So do you think that using add-ons takes away from the edge, or do you think that's okay, or is it training wheels? Should I stop using it at some point?
No, I think some of them are really helpful. You look at add-ons like Deadly Boss mods or Bigwigs. Those are extremely helpful because there's no indication otherwise of what things are coming up next unless you're running your own personal timers. You don't know that imps are spawning on Manoroth in 13 seconds, or Escar's about to go up in 10 seconds, whatever it is. You don't know those things are coming up, so those are really helpful. And things like being able to change your bars around to customize your character, your setup, that's nice and all. But when you start developing add-ons that essentially play the game for you, it's not fun. It's not fun to watch. It's not fun to see. When I see videos of, guilds killing bosses and they got these giant circles on their screen that take up the whole screen, it's like you're not really paying attention to your character. You're paying attention to the add-on. You're not playing the game. You're playing the add-on. And that's not interesting to me.
What are you expecting from some of the raid bosses going into Legion? They've kind of up. I feel like with Hellfire Citadel, they really have tried to up the bar and set a new benchmark, I guess. Are you expecting that to be even more difficult, or even more? How many more tricks can you pull out other than face the boss this way and kill those ads?
Yeah, exactly. There's only so many ways you could say don't stand in the fire or stand in the fire because it makes you do more damage. However much you might want to trick your raid into doing so. What I really want to see is more memorable bosses, because I've been raiding since vanilla and I've seen all kinds of bosses, and I remember all the bosses in BC. Every single one was memorable to me for whatever reason it was. And bosses like Kael'thas and Lady Vosh, those are so fun and interesting. Maybe they were fun because they were hard. I'll remember Archimon because it was really difficult. Black Ham, maybe. But I don't know, barely people remember the name of the last boss in High Mall. You remember one of his names maybe, but not both of them for sure. So I want to see, more bosses where you feel like, oh, that was such a good boss to do, and not that boss where it was like, oh yeah, we had to get the add-on because the new guy didn't get the add-on. We wiped for an hour, and he kept telling us he had the add-on, but he didn't. I want to see more bosses that are fun. Like I said, a smooth gradient from the first boss to the last boss. There shouldn't be huge jumps. Guilds should be able to progress smoothly and clearly as they go through the fights. I'm not too familiar with the lore of Legion quite yet, so I'm not sure exactly which bosses we'll see, but hopefully we see more bosses that we're familiar with. We saw Garrosh, and we saw Grom, but he wasn't really a boss. There were some bosses they came out of nowhere, like Zul'Farrak, I don't know what that is. Zakuun, I didn't know what that is. I'd rather see bosses from the lore that we've seen before, because that's what's interesting. You see these characters, their story, so you feel some connection to those bosses when you go fight them, That's nice.
Ready for Ragnaros 3.0 then?
Yeah, another Ragnaros would be great. I think he's always been fun, so.
Well, I'm out of questions here. So, should we see if anyone else has questions?
Well, I was gonna.
Or do you got one more?
Yeah, I could make up stuff.
I'm terrible.
I'm
terrible at making up questions.
So, going into Legion, then, what would you tell somebody who's wanting to prepare brand new expansion, probably switching mains? I know people are hyped about Demon Hunters. I am. I'm going Demon Hunter. I don't care. Actually, I do care if it sucks. But okay, so what would you tell somebody getting into raiding, maybe switching mains? What do you want to do? What's preparing for raiding? Obviously, not everyone's going to have the time dedication that a mythic world-class raider would, but what advice would you give somebody to prepare and to
looking for
ready?
A raid guild?
A raiding guild, just to be ready to...
Yeah, it's essentially the same thing. We don't know what changes they have in plan for raiding. Mythic 20-man was a huge change, and that did a lot to a lot of guilds. Broke some guilds apart, made some guilds merge. And with the introduction of cross-server Mythic, which they just implemented, I think, or implemented in the patch, I think, that's coming up, We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how people are going to respond to that. I would say just if the best thing you could do is find a guild full of people that are fun, that aren't patronizing or mean-spirited.
So not my guild.
Probably, and a schedule is important. You want to find a schedule that works for you. Don't fit to a schedule. Have a schedule fit to you because you don't want to be bending your life around it because that just causes you stress. But most importantly, is finding people that are fun.
Awesome. You said you got nothing?
I got nothing.
Make something up.
We ran out of our questions.
I know.
Green.
If it's not blue text, he doesn't know what to say.
It's my favorite color too.
Do you guys?
It better be because
Do you guys want to ask Monkioh anything before we wrap it up here? Not everybody at once.
Come on, guys.
we always got hand love to give
You know
out.
you've got
There we go.
questions.
Are you
Howdy.
in the Legion beta?
In the Legion
Greetings.
Beta?
Yes.
No.
Your mouth said no, but your
No.
face says yes.
No. My official answer is no.
Awesome.
Sweet. Oh.
Greetings, thanks guys. Just one question. It seemed like at the advent of World of Warcraft, it seemed like keyed zones were kind of like one of the most appreciable aspects of the game. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think it's worth revisiting? Do you think it's worth ever taking into account again to let the top level of hardcore see certain content that not all the other player base would ever see?
You can answer first, because my opinion is probably totally different as a very casual player.
I feel like the amount of time required, I think you have two different levels of that. You have people who are at the very top tier who want to push and kill the bosses as fast as possible, clear the content as fast as possible. But I think all that content is available to anyone at any time. It can be extremely difficult, practically, to find a 3-day guild, 3-day-a-week guild that will be able to clear the content on time every week. That's difficult. And there's huge advantages to guilds that are able to take off work for the first week of a progression tier and just completely no life it to get 5 characters geared up and just be miserable for a week so that they can maybe be happy for the next 2 weeks. I was happy for the next 2 weeks. And my official response is it's fun, it's worth it. But I don't think if your question was regarding gating maybe or just having content be so difficult for a certain what's that? Attunements? I don't like attunements. I don't think they're very fun because if you have characters that haven't done the attunements yet, you can't just jump in and play with your friends. I think it's nice to have content for everyone, right? Everyone wants content for everyone because you never know who's playing the game. While I've recently been playing with the top, players, which are great and they're normal guys like everyone else. The vast majority of players are not those players. They're not players. They do heroic and normal, and they wipe on heroic and normal fights. And for players that are in my guild, they can't imagine that. It's like, how do you wipe on a normal fight? This is unbelievable. Oh, this is a waste of my time. But it's like,
I can show you how.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to understand that, not everyone has the time to put in, and having content available for all those types of players is extremely important. That's at every end of the spectrum, from new players to players who've been playing the game for 10, 11 years. That content has to be there. It has to be available, or else the players aren't going to want to challenge themselves. We all want to feel like we have some ways to improve. And if you feel like you don't have to improve, then, I don't know, you're a god. Yeah, exactly. Why play? Yeah.
There needs to be something for everyone, for the top end players. You get world first, and then, or whatever rank you come in, and then you've got nothing to do for months until the next content comes out. So there does need to be something for that that rewards the people that put in the mythic level effort. Outside of that, I am personally butthurt that I may not get the moose mount.
Oh.
And, I don't know. Maybe you can carry me through.
Yeah,
it.
maybe.
But
Let's
no,
set that up.
I
How about if I get Legion Beta, I'll carry you. How about that one?
all right. I'll
Deal.
Which I don't have it yet,
I'll
so
make it
good
happen.
luck.
See me after the show. I'll take care of you. No, but there has to be some way to reward people at all levels. At all, people are going to be they're going to get their feelings hurt whether or not they get them out or don't get them out, or they get beta or don't get beta. Where's my Overwatch beta? Dang it. But you have to reward people and just not. You can't cater to everyone, I guess.
You can. You can try for sure, and they have in the past. Try to be catered to as many as people as possible, but it's not always so easy. It's not an either. There is no one solution for every person. When you make one person happy, you're gonna make another person upset. It's just the way it is. And so you just have to understand that there's a great variety of people playing this game. People who enjoy different things. You know, some people like raiding, some people like pet battles, and some people are crazy and like the PvP. You know, it's just there's all kind of people, and there has to be content for everyone. And I'm glad there is. It is such a large and wonderful game.
Okay, I think we are out of time officially, so I want to thank Monkioh here for coming on and
It's my pleasure.
talking to
Thank
you guys and talking with us.
Hey, I didn't mean it earlier when I said I don't like you. that was
So
weird.
thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good con.
Thanks, guys. Awesome job. Next up, if they're ready.